again Hugo Ekitike, because we still have to keep an eye on the Hugo Ekitike story. Eintracht asked for 100 million euros to Chelsea a few weeks ago. It was almost 2 weeks ago, and Chelsea started to explore different options, including João Pedro, who remains one of the players they are following, while Newcastle are in talks for the Brazilian. So Chelsea at the moment are not intention to pay that money. There is a feeling between English top clubs that maybe Eintracht in the next days or weeks could accept slightly less than 100 million euros, maybe 80, 90 million euros, but we will see what Eintracht will decide to do. Again, don't forget the other clubs, because Man United called for Hugo Ekitike to be informed of the situation of the player, to be informed on negotiation with other clubs. So Man United remain in contact with the agent, but I keep telling you, also Liverpool are there. Also Liverpool are in the race. I maintain my position. If, as I expect, Darwin Núñez will leave Liverpool, and again, my expectation is yes, Darwin will go, keep an eye on Ekitike, because for sure is one of the names they have in the list of Liverpool, and that situation could be one to watch.
With Matheus Cunha, the new Cantona in the eyes of Omar Barada, the Manchester United chief executive, completing his move to the fallen Premier League giants, and their business is by no means done there. They're still working behind the scenes with Brentford on a deal for Bryan Mbeumo. I think that final fee may even eclipse the £62.5 million they paid Wolves for Cunha and Mbeumo. Slightly younger, and he scored more goals in the Premier League last season. We know that Thomas Frank would love to take him from Brentford to Tottenham, having made that move himself. But I'm told Manchester United still very much Mbeumo's preferred destination. That brings us on to a number 9. As I mentioned already, looks like Viktor Gyökeres leaning towards Arsenal. Where does that leave United? Well, they have opened preliminary talks with the agents of Hugo Ekitike, Frankfurt striker. I think there's a big discrepancy there on what they'll be willing to pay and the €100 million bounty that has been put on his head. So we'll keep an eye on this one. Well, it feels like the old season has only just ended, but it won't be that long until Manchester United players return for pre-season. In that number, both Jadon Sancho and Marcus Rashford, obviously both desperate to leave the club, and certainly in the case of Rashford, Ruben Amorim desperate to get rid of him as well. There have been some suggestions this week that he's on Newcastle's list of targets. I don't believe that to be the case at this moment in time, and in any case, Rashford has made it clear to Manchester United Barcelona is the club for him. If that does happen, it's more likely to be a loan deal than a permanent transfer. Of course, he finished the season on loan at Aston Villa, but they opted not to take up their option to pay £40 million and make that move permanent. Dusan Vlahovic, the Juventus striker, is someone who seems to be linked with a move to the Premier League every time the transfer window comes around. This one is no different. Manchester United, one of the clubs credited with interest in him. Again, that's not one that's on my radar at this moment in time, but I guess if they don't get Gyokeres and they decide not to pursue a deal for Ekitike, they will have to start moving down their list. Victor Osimhen is a fascinating one for me. He's turned down a move to Saudi Arabia. I just have a hunch that he may well end up in the Premier League.
After getting knocked back on Bryan Mbeumo, Manchester United have held talks with Eintracht Frankfurt over Hugo Ekitike. Jules, impressed, right guy?
So I'm really impressed by Hugo's season with Frankfurt in the Bundesliga. He was really outstanding. You could see the maturity that he plays with now, and things were a little bit difficult for him in Paris, but he's back to what we've seen before Reims, the huge potential that he has because he's tall and he's so good technically. There's so many things that he can do all around. He's going to get better and better. So I understand. The question again is that Mbeumo and Ekitike are two complete different players. I don't understand how you go from one, missing out on one potentially, and go for the other one as a plan B when they should not even be on the same plans, really. So we'll see. It's another striker linked with United. I don't know which one they will pick, which one they will go to. Ekitike will cost you a lot of money again, and you probably would need to let one of Zirkzee or Haaland or maybe even both go. You've signed Cunha already for a lot of money. So I'm just waiting to see if United really are ready to spend 80 million euros or something like that on Ekitike.
You could get Viktor Osimhen for less than that. He costs you a bit more in wages. Guys, let's just be logical here, not complicate all this nonsense. And we haven't even mentioned Gyokeres, who I don't know. I don't know what to say. But yeah, Ekitike, a nice player. Is United the right place for a young, maybe a little bit raw, developing striker? See what Rasmus Højlund thinks. Manchester United have reportedly fixed their price for Jadon Sancho. And It's scaring folks away, Jules. 25 million euros? That's a lot, given the circumstances, no?
Yeah, and Chelsea were not ready to pay that after the loan that he had, or pretty much the same, 20-25 million pounds, something like that. And clearly, it doesn't seem that there's much people queuing at the door to get Jadon Sancho for that price. We know that Napoli, for example, want a player that can play on that left side and been linked with the likes of Garnacho, for example, with Sancho being an interest of them and Conte. Maybe at that price they think like, well, actually we'd rather invest in a younger player that will be slightly more expensive in Garnacho, but where we think have more certainties. And I can completely understand that, and the same for the club. So we've been saying for weeks now, good luck to United, really good luck to finding a club for Jadon Sancho.
Fixtures there, Manchester United kicking off against Arsenal on the 17th of August, live on Sky Sports, 4:30. What was your take on their fixtures, and how much the pressure might just be increased that little bit with stories like this for Ruben Amorim and company?
Oh yeah, I mean, it's a really, really tough start. I heard Andy Cole speaking earlier on Sky about what a tough start it is. And I'm one of these people, if you write a story about fixtures and say United have got a tough start or Arsenal have got a tough start, you often get comments come back saying, well, they play everyone twice and, there's no easy games, or, in the Premier League. Of course, that's fundamentally wrong. If you have a tough start, it can affect your confidence. It can get a manager to the sack. You can't build up any momentum. I think it's a really, really tough start for Manchester United. And I looked at the half a dozen games, and in those half a dozen games, they've got 4 teams from last season's top 10. The average finishing positions of teams that United and Arsenal have got in those opening 6 games are really, really high compared to anyone else. They are the toughest starts in the Premier League. So I think it's an incredibly important start for Manchester United. He will be under pressure after 6 games if those games don't go well. On the flip side, of course, if he was to get a good haul of points out of those 6 games, that would give him an enormous boost for the rest of the season.
Certainly will. We'll see how it happens with Manchester United.